Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Let's get our guest ready. Let's yes. You're welcome. Yes, Lady Oyebola, welcome.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay! Good to see
Just,
you.
just adjusting myself here. One
Oh,
moment.
all right.
Making sure that it's good.
Awesome.
All
Awesome.
right.
Can you hear me loud and clear? I have music playing on the background. I'll mute that soon, but can you hear me well?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. Hi, Ayo Loco. Hello. Welcome. We're excited. We're waving right back at you, waving at you. Yeah. Welcome. Yes. We are live. BC Akiodi, welcome. Asatompo, welcome. Let's share this. Invite a friend, bring somebody along. We are excited. I am excited. Oyebola is excited. So yes. Let me mute my music. Yes. You are welcome. Thank you for joining. Let's spread the love, share the love, invite somebody. Tell us where you're joining from. Tell us where you're participating from. Tell us where you're going to be listening and binging on this wonderful conversation from, because people, we are excited. I'm excited to be talking about this topic today. So please, Emisi, welcome. Let's share the link. Invite someone. We are excited. We want to talk about a self reacquaintance. So yes, we are excited. Let's share the word. Let's spread the word. Yes. Welcome. We're happy to have you. I'm excited to have Oyebola on our session today. Today is our fifth episode of Let's Talk Take Stock. We have been doing this for 5 times every quarter since February 2024, and we're excited. Yes, Temi Akiti. Hi, Temi. Welcome. We're happy to have you. Let's share. Spread the word. Spread the word. We are in for an exciting time. I'm not saying this because just for the sake of it. I'm saying it because I'm just super excited about the topic we're about to be having today. So we're going to be getting it. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Tammy. We're excited to have you.
Hello.
Hello, people. Welcome. All right. Let's just say a very quick word. Father, we thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to have yet another conversation, around being intentional with the purpose for which you have created us. Lord, as we have this conversation, we ask that it will be to your glory and your glory alone. That, Lord, that person, those people for which you have set up today's conversation, they will not miss out on the conversation for today. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. So, welcome. Let's get
Um,
right into it. If you're joining, please tell us where you're joining from. Show some love in the chat. Highlight, high five us, wave at us, yes. AY. Yes. Thanks for joining. If you're just joining, tell us where you're joining from. Just as we're talking through the conversations today, we trust that you will find it insightful. You will find it a good use of your time. And if you happen to be watching this after the fact, we're happy that you are watching this, because there's nuggets that we will be sharing, and that we trust will shift something for you as you join us in this conversation. Love from Malta. Yay, Biola, yeah. I'm sending you love right back. Lots of love. All right. So today, what is Let's Talk Take Stock? Let's Talk Take Stock is the sessions that we have to have a real perspective around the topics of intentional and purposeful living. We bring a practical lens to it. Often we talk about principles that I have shared in the book that I wrote, Take Stock of Who You Have Become on the Journey to Becoming. But it isn't just about the book, it's about practical life lessons that each and every one of us can take and be better for ourselves as we become more intentional in this journey of life. In this day to day, when we wake up and sleep and woo, a month is gone. It is May. This is the fifth month of the year. And so today we're just going to be talking about affirming your purpose. You know, purpose has almost become that elephant in the room for a lot of people. Like, have I found it? Am I living in my purpose? You know, there's so many questions. And do I even know why I'm here? Does it make sense? Dima Music, thanks for joining us. Share where you're joining us from. We're happy to have you. And so today we will be talking about a self reacquaintance, saying hi to yourself again, and on the basis begin to affirm the purpose that you've always carried. And as we share our stories today, we trust that it's going to light up something for you. It will it will catalyze that search for you to be more intentional about your own purpose, as you just continue to take on this journey so that we can be more intentional and purposeful. And so, who am I? Fumilola Asa. I'm a transformational catalyst. My joy comes when I see the light bulb comes up for somebody, when they're able to connect the dots. And so I help you catalyze your transformation by sharing insights that would make you take the next step towards becoming a better version of yourself. I'm an author, speaker, strategy professional, mother, lover of God, sister, just name it, system thinker. Thank you, Dima. And in recent times, begin to grow into another phase of my assignment as a purpose midwife. And I'll talk about that later. Helping others to connect their purpose and just come to that light of purpose. And I've said purpose so many times today. I'm hoping that by the time we're done today, it's less of a buzzword and more practical for you. And so as you join, just share the word. And if something resonates for you, if we say something that maybe somebody missed in the conversation and it just rang for you, please share it, share it in the comments. Let us hear what you're hearing. Today on this session, I'm joined by Lady Oyebola. Oyebola and I have been having conversations since last year. We've met late last year, and it's just been a joy to have this sort of purpose conversations with Oyebola. And she's going to be sharing her perspectives today. Oyebola is a vision partner, and she will break that down for us when she introduces herself. And she's the founder of Expert Partners Network and VP Net. And so I'm happy today to be having that conversation with Oyebola as she unpacks these conversations in practical lens. I'm trusting that something lights up for you on your inside. Usually, how do we take these conversations? I just do a quick overview of the book itself in less than maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just so that you understand the anchor around these conversations. And then we dive into the real day-to-day practical application of the conversation. And so what am I talking about here? This is a book that I wrote. Take stock of who you have become on the journey to becoming. It was a memoir that was born out of certain deep insights that I experienced as I navigated the journeys of my life. And something shifted for me on the spectrum. And then I realized that the more I was more intentional about life, the more I started to take stock and just think about the various aspects of my life, the more I started to look at my life beyond one lens and look at the multi-dimensional parts of my life, the more I started to come alive and something came alive in me. And I started to realize how impactful I am and I can be. And I'm like, no, everybody needs to hear this. And this book has gone on to birth, a master class, a movement. There's more coming. So bottom line is take stock of who have become on the journey to becoming is a guide to purposeful and impactful living. Is a faith-based guide, but it is around being practical. What are the day-to-day things I can do to become a better version of myself and be impactful to myself and those around me? And it's around looking at the right measure, using the right measure and looking holistically about the different dimensions of your life. Now, before we go into talking about our reaffirming purpose or affirming purpose through self-reacquaintance, I usually like to start these conversations with just a spotlight of a section in the book. And so today I'll just do a very quick, very quick read on when we talk about purpose in the book. spiritual well-being is one of the things that came to mind for me as I was prepping for this, and I'll talk about purpose in a second, and then we'll start all the real gist that you signed up for. But you have to sit through this one because it's going to lay the foundations of the conversations that would follow. And so I'll just read a very quick passage. It says, if you have the book, if you're reading this later and you have the book, it's page 57, and then I skipped another paragraph. It says, a song that resonates with me on the importance of spiritual well-being is one that was written by a Nigerian gospel artist, Dunsi Oyekan, titled To Know You, in the album The Gospel of the Kingdom. One of the portions of the song that rings true for me in my journey of stock taking and the resultant unlocking of the journey of impact is, when I know you, I'll find me. I have come to realize that a deeper and constant connection to the potter of my life has steadily unlocked new details about the capacity that has been designed into my life and journey as a carrier of the message and the intents of the potter. Beyond the knowledge, the ease of functioning comes from being in the exact service that was intended by design, which is my purpose. And so you find that as you start to operate more in your purpose, you find that there's a certain ease, there's a certain joy, there's a certain fulfillment that comes from that. And so when you then ask this whole purpose, what's this buzzword? What is purpose for me? Why is everybody so keen about this thing? And some people have tuned out just by hearing, oh, purpose. And so the goal here is to break it down, to make it more relatable, to have a conversation around, man, so this is it. So this is the thing they call purpose. Miles Monroe says, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. But in the book, a very short sentence I would like to read because it resonated deeply for me yesterday when I was rereading in preparation for this session. And it was a question on page 75. It says, what then is your purpose? Because when we talk about, oh, you find fulfillment, what is your purpose? And I say here that it's the reason why you're here in this world, in this place, and at this time. It is the need and opportunity that the Creator saw to address in the world and for which He embedded the seed and capacity for expansion in you to address. Now, the first time I read this, or all the times I've written it and I read it, it didn't carry as much meaning as it carried for me when I read it this time around. And I will tell you why. It said, God saw a need, He created you, but He put in you the seed and the capacity for expansion to fulfill that need. And so, what will grow to become a tree is first a seed. And the challenge some of us find today is that we're looking for the tree, where right in front of us is the seed that we have, or the sprout that it has grown into, and which we need to nurture by taking on the right opportunities so that it can grow into that tree of purpose. And so, what are those seeds of purpose that you carry? We talk about, three key things that I talk about in the book so that you start to look at it from a practical lens. Talk about things like your perspectives based on the nurture that you have been on, the path that you have walked, the fact that you see pain where other people don't see it, the fact that you see that this is so wrong, this cannot make sense, or the fact that you feel a certain kind of need to extend love to somebody because you have walked certain paths. And so between your perspectives, your passion, and the patterns of intervention, the kind of people that you attract, the kind of questions people come to you for, the kind of things that people come to you find yourself naturally solving. When there are 10 people in the room, you're the one person that stands up and solves those. The more you start to write it down and connect the dots for yourself, the more you start to see the seeds that you have always carried, and then you start to leverage the right opportunity so that you can nurture the seed in the right environment and it can grow into the tree that it's meant to be, the impact in the lives of those that you're supposed to touch. And so that's my brief intro. So anytime I talk about purpose, or we're going to talk about purpose today, ask yourself, when I think about myself, what are those seeds? Maybe I've been too focused on the big tree that I'm not nurturing the seeds to get to the tree. And so with that, I'm going to go into our conversation with Lady Oyebola. Omene 2015, thanks for joining. Almost said it, thanks for joining. If you're just joining us, just tell us where you're joining from. Say hi to us. Let's show us some love in the chat. Spread the word. Invite somebody. Spread it, spread it, spread it. Grab your coffee, grab a seat, grab your popcorn, grab whatever it is because we're about to have real talk on introducing yourself, reintroducing yourself, a self reacquaintance. You know how you meet a friend that you've known for 20 years, and then one day you're like, okay, they start to talk about something, and maybe they tell you that, oh, when I went to school in this town, and you're like, really? You were in that town? When? What year? Are you serious? And then before you know what's going on, you all start to have a conversation about somebody you've known for years, but you never knew that part of them. Some of us need to have a new conversation with ourselves and say, hey, Fumi, where have you been at? What's going on? Who are you? Who have you become? And who are you becoming? With that, Oyebola, let's turn it over to you and let's start a conversation. Can you please just introduce yourself? I probably didn't do as enough justice when I did introduce you in the beginning. So I'll let you do the honors, introduce yourself, and as you finish that, I'd like you to just transition into introducing Oyebola. When you think about, Oyebola the person, when you think about your life's journey to this point, spotlight key moments, key events, places, those things that have shaped the story of Oyebola, because we're going to use that to then continue the conversation as we talk about a self reacquaintance to unlock your purpose. Go for it.
All right. Thank you, Fumilola. Before I continue, I cannot see you. So I can't see you on the
You
screen.
kid me not.
So
I'm
I don't know
looking
if it's the
straight
same
at you.
for I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but I need to, yeah, I need to see you. So
Okay.
I'll say let's try to figure that out first. I don't know if it's something on my end, and if anybody can confirm, can you see both of us on your screen?
Okay, we need
Please, if you can you
we need
confirm? So
confirmation.
maybe it's something wrong with my screen. Yes,
We
please.
need confirmation in the chat. Can you see us both? Can you see me? Can you see Oyebola? Can you see us both?
So I
Um
see some icons. I don't want to touch anything so I don't mess this up. So
yes,
I'm
so
gonna say yes.
Omane says yes, she can see
There's a
you and she can
there's a video. Yeah, there's a video icon after the mute button. So I don't know if I should click on that because yours is just showing blank on my end.
okay.
Uh, I don't know. Maybe I just try that and see.
Did you
One
see me at any
moment.
point at all?
No, no, no,
So
no.
you haven't seen me since you joined. I'm looking at you. You're
I
looking
only saw
all
you went.
you're looking all pretty here. Tammy confirms she can see you. Chinelo just joined. Abiola says they can see
Yeah,
you. So,
same as Amone too. So yeah,
how we gonna
I
solve
really do
this?
not know. Should I go back out and come back in?
Yeah, okay, you can try that. You can try that. Let's try that for
Okay,
for a minute before we go right back
okay,
into the conversation. But we see you. We see you. We see you.
okay.
All right, people. While Oyebola is going out and coming back in, please tell us where you are joining us from. I think some of you already did. Thanks for confirming that you see us both. But if you think about the quick intro I just gave around purpose, or some other thing you've heard about purpose and things like that, how much of this resonates for you when you think about the seed of purpose versus the tree, and how sometimes you miss out on that big tree because you're looking for the tree and you don't realize that the stories that you have had, your passions, the things that you loved as a 5-year-old that continues to be there at the back of your mind. The fact that when you're in a big place, you're in a big meeting, you're the first person that raises your hand to solve a certain kind of problem. You're the peacemaker when everything is like all over the place. You're like, people, why are we here? How much of that resonates for you in terms of where you've been at? Let me see if I'm able to add Oyebola back onto the call. Is Oyebola here? Okay, I'm reinviting Oyebola. So let's see how this goes. But yeah, so Oyebola, can you see me now?
Yes,
You can see me now?
I can. Yes.
Oh, Hooray, 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 hooray. Awesome, 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 awesome. I'm super glad you can. So now that we could see me, I was already doing like a masterclass style before you before you came back on. So are you able to, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
All right.
I
So
can.
go for it. Introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm just going to need you to ask me the other question, but first I'll introduce myself because I want it fresh as I'm
Okay.
talking.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Fumilola, for having me. It's been a long time coming. I'm so excited to be here and just to share my experience with everyone listening and people that and those that will be listening after. My name is Oyebola Ogunsanwo. I also go by Lady Oyebola. There's a whole story behind it, but we'll leave that for another time. Oh, yeah. So I help individuals build momentum to pursue their vision. As simple as that. So I kind of like put like fire in your bum to get you going. The moment you share a vision with me, and I've done that with individuals, businesses in the past few years, and right now, and we're talking about purpose, and I am certain that that's my purpose. I have collaborated with lots of people. So I think the passion for me is the moment you share your vision with me or your dream, the next thing that comes to mind is how can we make that your reality? Because I understand that once that becomes your reality, there's this sense of purpose, joy that you have that is unexplainable. It's more like what we describe as self-fulfillment. And I want that for everybody. And that's what I refer to as your vision partner. So I work with you as your vision partner to birth your dreams or your vision into reality.
Thank you. Thank you, Ebola. Like she's those kind of people that don't tell them, or because as soon as you've told them, whether as a personal friend or as a client or as somebody that like, let's go, you've got this, we can do it, blueprints, everything. And that's why like she says, she helps you put the fire on the on you to go, let's go, let's go. We need to make this a reality. And so I'm glad, Oyebola, thanks for introducing yourself. So the other question that I asked was, thinking about your journey to this point, can you spotlight the key moments, the events, and the places in the story of Oyebola? And the goal really is to wrap it back where we talk about, that reacquaintance. Because at some point, we're going to be asking you, what's it about that reacquaintance? But here, help us to know who's Oyebola.
Yeah, I can confidently say who Ebola is because of the journey I took late last year, which is your masterclass from Ebola, Take Stock, right? So let's take in stock or on the journey of who we are, on the journey of becoming. And I had to go like deep down into my core. So revisiting moments in my childhood and recognizing patterns. I'm like, okay, so this is who I am. So it's not like I did not get a sense of who I was at any point in time. But I think that it became clearer to me when I took on that journey. So it was a purposeful action that I took. And so, look, like I mentioned, look back at my childhood. I was like, oh, no wonder I did this that way. So I'll give an example. Like when I was younger, right? So I am the third child out of seven. And so I realized I just like this sense of responsibility. Like nobody even wants that in the first place. Like why should we even want to take more tasks or whatever? But I enjoyed it. The fact that I was responsible for something, it gave me a sense of purpose, right? The moment you tell me I want this thing to be done, then I'm like, okay, I need to get this done because now you've relied on me. So for you to rely on me, that means that there's something you see me, I'm capable. And I also believe that I'm capable to do it. And somehow I get it done. Right. So it's as simple as when my parents would travel to our hometown for maybe a holiday or wedding or whatever, like back in the days, right? They went for every occasion and they'll put me in charge. Right. So like money, if we needed to buy anything around the house when they were not around, or maybe people came to fix something. So I would supervise, make sure it was done properly. I paid them, I just got things done. So I really enjoyed that sense of purpose, the leadership, how would you call that?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
more like that's leadership, taking like leadership.
Taking
I really
leadership
enjoy
in
it.
situations, just taking ownership, taking leadership,
Honestly,
even as a
yes,
child.
yes. Yes, even as a child. And I loved it. Our last born, I took 9 years from him, older than me with 9 years, and I pretty much took care of it. Right? My mom just left him in my care, and I did my best. So when I look at moments like that, and when I take on initiatives or I'm leading any initiative, I think about that time. It's not something that I do because I want to compete or something like that. It's something I actually enjoy. I believe that, leaders set direction. So you have to set the direction of the way people should go. And then it's easier for you to get people to follow you. And so I enjoyed that as a child. Of course, there's some things I didn't like, but I really focused on my strength, on things that I love, because I would easily get bored. So I
Mhm.
was always asking myself, what can I do? What's the next thing I can do? What can I learn? What can I engage in? Also active, like in church, as I was, as a teenager. So I enjoy things like that. I enjoy, just being in the company of people, people that encourage me, and I had a lot of them. Even family members like aunts or people just took interest in me because they see these qualities. And so when I look back and I look at myself now, I can just see the patterns and the the path. And so, I've tried to follow that, as I live my life up from that time when I was younger to now. So as we go, and I know we'll share more, and I'll
Absolutely.
uncover more of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I wanted to zoom in on something you said there. Because you see, sometimes some people feel like, okay, there's this thing I'm going to go discover about purpose. I need to go learn it. I need to go acquire it. You talked on leadership. You talked about taking charge. You talked about, just taking an initiative on stuff. And the fact that somebody else doesn't do that doesn't make it wrong. But it's an innate part of you that has been there as a child. And though sometimes life will throw certain things at you and you're wondering, is there something wrong with me? Am I being forward? Am I being should I be quiet? But you'll find that even when you choose to be quiet, when you should be taking charge, there's something that is uncomfortable about it for you because it's always been there. And so to your point, revisiting and going back to your childhood and looking at Oyebola, the person, who have I always been? Who am I? What are the characteristics that continue to ring true? Whether I was taking charge or when your parents put you in charge, or whether as you grew older, you shared the story once about even getting married as you pretty much took charge of everything for yourself, and so it's always been a constant theme. And so I'm sure that we will zoom in on that as we move
Yeah.
forward. And
Yes,
so,
and I wanted to add as well, like, and like for me, I just felt it was inherent, so it was like in me. I didn't have to do anything so much. Of course, there are some skills I had to own, right? So the more I did, the more I engaged in stuff, the better it became, the more confident I became. But I enjoyed it. So what a lot of people will see as challenges for them, for me, it was
mhm,
exciting. Sometimes I just feel like I was just like seeking for this adrenaline or thrill. It's thrilling to me. Even now, when someone shares a vision or a dream with me, immediately like something just fills me and I'm excited. Like I just start to visualize and stuff. And so, yeah, for me, it's exciting. Yeah. Do I face like some challenging moments? Absolutely. One that will make me, keep quiet for a bit. And you touched on something that, sometimes just even wondering, am I forward? Because sometimes I struggle with that, like initially, even before now, and that's what led to my reacquaintance, right? Which we're going to talk about. But I struggled with that, like in the past years. Like, why do I feel that? Why do I have to see like the problem, or why do I have to know the solution or the way forward? Especially when maybe you're at the mastermind or you're trying to come up with a solution and something just illuminates and right there that that's the way to go. But everybody is not saying it, and then you're like, okay, am I sometimes you start to question yourself, like, am I, living in reality as these people or stuff? So, but the more I know that now, and it's become enjoyable. And when I think about Oyebola, right, as the person, I don't only think about my childhood. I think about even the places I've lived, right? My upbringing, my family, my geographic location where I stayed. I am Yoruba by tribe, but I was born in the north. And so my orientation is different, right? I think like a northerner. I also think like a southwesterner, if there's anything like southwesterner, because of my parents. So I have some unique perspectives because of where I've lived, the people I've lived with. And growing up, I had friends from different parts of the country, right? So I was friends with like the Yorubas, the Hausas, the Igbos. I saw everybody as the same. So I think I've carried that as well with me now. When I see people, I don't see you first from where you come from, your culture, your ethnicity, things like that. What intrigues me is you as a person.
Hmm.
And that's the lens I've always view people. And I think that, when I meet people as well, that's the same thing, just keeping that open mind that, oh, you're interesting. Maybe it's the way you walk or the way you smile or the way you talk or maybe the way you dress and all of a sudden, like, I want to know you. And so that's me as a person. I'm shaped by so many things
Awesome.
and exposure.
Awesome. No, and Oyebola, you talk, and I think that there's a reason we're kind of stopping here because there's somebody who needs to own that part of them, right? Like you said, that I remember listening to somebody who's like a renowned speaker today, said when she was a child, they tell her, you talk too much, you talk too much. And then today she's continuing to talk, but people listen because she has not taken away that part of her identity because somebody thought she talked too much. But there was also something you said about being inherent, because that's another thing for us with purpose. There are certain things that are part of us that we just think is natural for us, that if we don't stop enough to look at it, we don't realize that somebody else sees it in you as a big deal, but you don't see it because that's how you've always been. And those things are indications of, the perspectives that you have, the passion that you have. My husband will always tease me when we go to those like meetings. I think I wrote it in the book somewhere, and I just say something, I think it's not gelling, and the thing is not gelling for me. I'll just be like, okay, I'm not talking, I'm not. The next I'm just like, excuse me, because for me, I feel like, are you sure you've looked at both sides of the equation before you say this thing that you're saying? And so it's just a natural thing for me. I can't help it, because for some people they will look and say, must you talk? Must you say something? Must you offer a perspective? And those are the things that I want us to start to think about when we think about purpose, right? Purpose is not always that giant. It will become that giant tree if nurtured. But you must first recognize those seeds, those perspectives. You talked about your orientation. The fact that you have lived across different cultures makes you have a different orientation from somebody else who has the same skill sets as you, but has not lived across those different cultures. And so the paths that you have walked impacts your perspective. Recall, I said there are three things that are key seeds of your purpose: the perspectives that you carry, the paths
Passion.
that your passion, and then lastly, the things you attract, the kind of things that you find that you're always doing, because those things are growing, those nurturing that seed into that thing that will become a tree. And so let's move forward from there, so that hopefully that resonates for somebody, that you need to sit back and write it down. Start to have conversations with yourself about those things that they're just naturally you. If they talked about somebody who knew you as a 2-year old, or who knew you as a 10-year old, as a 15-year old, what's that common theme that they'll probably talk about when they talk about you?
Yeah.
So let's talk about Take Stock, the book Take Stock. So you kind of touched on it briefly. You talked about the master class. And so in my mind, I always like to say, can you just describe your encounter with the book? Take stock of who you have become on the journey to becoming, as you read the book, because there's the class and then there's the book itself, right? As you read the book, what were the things that struck a chord most for you? Because I always say to people that the principles in the book are not new, right? They're not radically new. They're things that you provide a new perspective on, and then it connects the dots for somebody and the light bulbs come up. Because half the time we're so busy with life. We're so busy. I recall recently going to a restaurant. Like, it was my first time in a Brazilian steakhouse. And then for whatever reason, we went as a group of people, and then they'll bring the meats, they'll bring this one, they bring the next one, and then I'm like, at some
Yeah.
point I'm like, stop, because I no longer had the ability to think, because before I could even think, the next thing was in front of me, and it was just overwhelming at some point, and I took back control by saying stop. Now the
I try to
interesting
keep
thing is,
over.
I had a card that I was supposed to is red or green. If I put it on red, they shouldn't give me the food. But they kept bringing it even though it was on red. And that's what life does to you. Sometimes, even when you tell people to stop, they just keep going. And that's why we can't wait for life to life us or happen. You need to start to be intentional about life and asking yourself these questions so that you can start to live in the fullness of the capacity that you already carry. And then you start to be surprised by what you're able to do. The fact that we're having this conversation today, Ebola, is probably a seed that started about 5 years ago. At that time, it didn't look like all that it has gone on to become. And so again, me and Ebola, we like to gist. So let's come back. let's come back.
We're,
To, let's come back to the top.
we're really trying to keep it under the wraps here, but
All right.
yeah,
So let's talk
yeah.
about
It's
TikTok
like
for
for
you.
me, when I think about TikTok, right? It's a posture, right? It's like reading the book, you have a lot of aha moments, a lot of confirmation. Just as you mentioned, they're not something new, but they're things we've not actually paused to think about, to like take in, right? Because we're running on this autopilot. We're just living like our life, going over and over again. So my experience with the book, reading the book, is I had a lot of time to pause and to reflect, right? To like go back into my core. You who am I? Purpose was one very interesting chapter. I think that's chapter 2, right?
Yeah, chapter
That was
two.
very, yeah, it was very interesting because again, I went back, I was like, okay, now no wonder I do what I do. No wonder I am this person, right? I can see the recurring pattern. I can see this the way I think. And I think you touched on that just a few minutes ago or moments ago when you mentioned that, when some people bring up something that you do on a regular, you're like, that's normal. Like, it should be done this way. They're like, no, it shouldn't be done. I don't want that. I'm like, but it's normal. Like, this is just the way I am. When you start to hear comments like that, it's an indication. So that's one way you can recognize your purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to those side comments or to those remarks when people are eliminating things for you. Because for you, you're just living your life, you're just doing your own thing, right? But you hear that from like everybody around. A lot of times it starts with your family and they just illuminate something, like bring something out to the obvious for you. And something like, oh, that's normal. And then you just keep living your life. But if you can pause and think about it and consider what's being said, perhaps you can recognize a pattern for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this thing that everybody's making a big deal out of, perhaps it is a big deal. Maybe it's a start discovering who I am, right? And then it just takes you on the journey. And then when you take stock, so take stock meaning that you pause and you reflect on who you are, who you've been on your journey to becoming, then you start to uncover things. And so that's my experience with the book. Everyone should read the book. It's authored by Fumilola here, our very own
We
Fumilola Asa. Yes, yes, it is mind blowing. I'm telling you, you're not going to be the same when you read it because in this life, this life we live in, or our world right now, is fast paced. And everybody says that there is no food for the lazy man, or you snooze, you lose, and you hear things like that. And it's to you, it might be an indication that there's no time to rest, no time to sleep. You just have to keep going. No, rest is very important, and rest doesn't mean like just being lazy and sleeping without doing anything. Of course, you have a plan, right? You think, you pause and think about, where am I coming from? Before you figure out where you're going, you have to know your history. Where am I coming from? Once you can figure that out and you're intentional, so it's a very intentional act. You're very intentional at going back at who you are, the way you live your life, the things you've done, your mannerisms, all those kind of things. Then you can get perspective on, your journey ahead.
no,
And
thank you,
that's
Ebola.
my yeah.
Oh, thank you. You're hitting the notes, as in your ability. So some of the most profound things in life, is one of my favorite quotes, are simple, but most people miss it because it's like it's too simple. Why is pausing and reflecting that big of a deal? You find out that the decisions that you make in life are different when you're intentional about, why am I even doing this? Like, why? Just ask myself why. Because it could be great for 5 people, but not good for you because it just doesn't align with your passion. It doesn't align with where you want to be at, because we all are unique, and the things that appeal to us, the things that the needs that we meet are unique and different. And so just being able to stop in itself is power. To say to
Right.
myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? And that's really what the
Right.
book, that's one of the biggest principles of the book. The second one is to make sure that you're looking at all the dimensions, the right measures. Some of us are feeling very frustrated in certain aspects of our lives because we're not even realizing that, hey, you're doing so great in other aspects, or there are other opportunities to impact life. The other thing you talked about is about how sometimes you start to see the answers from your immediate family. I always talk about it as a ripple. It grows out. Like the fact that, you first start by being that person to maybe your friends, you're the one person that solves certain problems. When they have the most confusing situations, they ask for your opinion. What do you think? And then you go to a random place in the classroom, or you meet new people for the first time, you start to see that ripple grows out, but it starts from within you. And so the more you pay attention to those patterns, the more you can answer those questions for yourself. And so today, I don't know whether you're watching this, whether you're here right now or you're watching this later. One of the first things you need to do for yourself is to stop, reflect, and think about, who am I? Who am I? As in, without the titles, without all the whatever it is that life is presenting today, who am I? When I think about the 2-year-old me, the 5-year-old me, the 10-year-old me, what are the real things that bring joy to me? What are the seeds that I've continued to carry that people talk about? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. And then it's a consistent theme. People who have not talked to themselves say the same thing to you. Maybe you need to stop and think about it. Why do you always see a certain kind of problem? There's some people that will always say that, they're concerned about mental health. Some of them are concerned about, this person, you need to make them excited. Some people talk about excellence all the time. Some people say it has to be done a certain way. Some of those are indications of your purpose. But if you don't bring all the dots together, you might continue to wonder, what's the relationship? There are people whose story of pain have turned out to be the reason why they're changing the world today, because they've taken that pain, pulled out the patterns and the perspective that they've now developed, and because of that, they can help somebody else on their journey as they move forward. So it's about bringing it all together to connect the dots. And so, Oyebola, let's continue the conversation. So when we talk about taking stock and all of that, I'll wrap two questions together. Like, what were practical steps that helped you in the process of taking stock? Because somebody say, yeah, I stopped, I thought about my life. Because that's the thing about, looking back at your life, is that sometimes people say that, oh, I don't want to be stuck in the past. I don't like revisiting that part. And so because of that, we're going to shy away from the key lessons that will transform us and take us to the next level of our purpose. And so I want you to kind of talk about some of the practical ways that helped you, one, and then just along the lines of reaffirming your purpose. You've been talking about it, but how was intentional reflection helpful to reaffirm your purpose? One thing you did once was you shared a talk with me that you did almost 5 years ago, and almost everything that you are living today, you were 5 years ago, right? You had those visions, you had those patterns, you had those things. So can we just throw some light into it from a practical perspective for people?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I've had this desire in me to live my best life and to empower others to live their best life. For some reason, when I meet people or when I see people, I think it's something beyond the natural. Sometimes I can see, I get insights, right, into people's life. So whether you're living your purpose or not, you're living your dream, it kind of it comes out in the open. So I find that when people are on the path to, pursuing their vision or living their dream, and of course I don't have any data or statistics to prove this, but mine is just a place of happiness. They are more happy, they're more accepting, right? They're more likely to celebrate with others. When you are doing what's right for yourself, you're more likely to celebrate with others. When you're achieving your own dreams, you're more likely to celebrate other people that are achieving their dreams, right? It's just easy. So I think for me, I just wanted to be in a place where, everybody is celebrated, everybody's celebrating, everybody is happy. And that's why, you referenced the talk I gave five years ago, which is just about, talking about people living their best life
Mhm.
and living who they are created to be. And So this is a long time coming, but I think for me, what triggered, my reacquaintance was when I moved to a new country, right? Before then, I have been, just as everybody else, believing on autopilot, you know what you're supposed to do, and you just keep doing what you're supposed to, like it's normal, that's life. You don't have to think so much of it, you just do what you're supposed to do. But I moved to a new country and I couldn't do that. So it wasn't that my purpose changed, perhaps my assignment changed, because there are two differences. So the assignment is the expression of your purpose. So the way you express it changed. I couldn't do the same thing. The cultures were different. The landscape, the terrain, everything was different. And for me, that caused some kind of imbalance in me. I mean, emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything, like even health-wise. I was in this place where I was unhappy, I was unsettled. That happiness I talked about, because I'm living my dream. I didn't have it, so I was like, what am I doing? So I had this fear. This fear came, right? And the reason why I was able to recognize the fear was because I'd done the work, the take stock. So that was when I was in the moment of, okay, I'll backtrack a bit. So when I was feeling that, I knew I wanted something. And usually when I feel something like that, where I feel unfulfilled, I either enroll in a leadership class or something, because for me it's an indication that I need to do more. Perhaps I've become comfortable where I am. I need to do more, I need to grow, and things like that. So I was like looking for things to come, to do. I mean, just to grow myself. Perhaps there was a shift that happened and I was stuck. So I needed to move from where I was. And so I actually watched a replay of the Let's Talk, Take Stock, what we're doing right now, of a very close friend. And it just dawned on me that, I need to do the masterclass. And so going to masterclass, and I did the work. So I recognized the time in my life where there was this emotion I felt. It was fear, right? It was fear of like something that had to do with something like death, right? It was a time when my mom was very sick, and I was so scared that she was going to die. I mean, I don't even think doctors did it. I was young. I was 9 years old. But I was so scared, and I would pray, I would sing, and do all of that. So I felt that same fear. But I wouldn't have recognized the fear if I had not done the work, if I had not taken stock, if I had not reflected. Because that was deep work that we did, right? And some of the actions that we had to like go, like can we recognize, something that happened in our childhood and things like that. And that was the fear I was feeling. So I was so scared. Oh my goodness, now this is fear of death of my dream, of my vision. Like it can happen. That was the fear I was feeling. Right. So that was just going to fade away, and I was not going to be able to achieve all the things that I know, like the vision that God has given me, or even the dream, that thing that I wanted for myself. And so that's how, this journey began about, say, 6 months ago, from the time of the masterclass. And after that, I did like additional things like coaching, transformational coaching, and things like that. So I'll say it's a journey, right? And sometimes you get indication of maybe like unrest, or fear, or whatever it is, but not to sit in there and to inquire, and that can come through so many ways. It might be in time of prayer, you talk to people, and that's one thing with me. Sometimes when I'm going through stuff, I talk to people, I ask. People that were here, that I moved to a new country, of course, it's a huge transition. And that was one thing I didn't really consider. It's a new transition, right? It's a big one. You're moving. You can't do what you were doing before, or what you thought you knew you couldn't apply that, so it could not really work. So, and of course, you still have more to give. There's still stuff to do. So because I felt that, and somehow I also felt that a lot of people like me, or that, I've gone through the same journey as me, or all are in the journey, experiencing the same thing like me, that in that phase of transition, might be going through the same thing, right? Because where we are, before, and a friend, kind of shared this with me, where she talked about, sometimes you move to a new place, and let's say you had this career you were pursuing before, you can't do that anymore. But there are other things that you have in your bag or in your toolbox that you can use to your advantage. You have your passion, which you talked about, right? You talked about your passion. And then you have your talents or your gifts. Sometimes you might need to pick one of those, right? And think about it. Okay, what are my priorities? What are my needs? And that's the purpose again we're talking about. And perhaps it just gets you going. So it's been a journey. It's one I'm still working through, but it's from a very much a better place, I would say.
Yeah, no, thanks for your and thanks for just being vulnerable there, because it's hard to come to a place where you tell yourself that what am I afraid of? As in, what's going on? Like you said, like you remember the time that was like the fear of death, the death of your dreams, your vision, and almost all of us get to those points sometimes. Sometimes it might be a shift in location for you. For some people, it's just like, okay, I've been doing this, and then one day you're just like, what's going on? For some people, it's the calm down. Maybe you're suddenly realizing, man, I've been here for X amount of years. Where am I going to be in the next 5 years? And you're beginning to feel like, what happened to all my dreams? What happened to those things, those visions, where I want to be in 10 years and 5 years, in all of that? And one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself is candid talk to yourself. Like recently, and it's not a one and done thing. You will always do that to yourself once you grow this muscle of taking stock and asking yourself intentional questions. Recently, I asked myself, I was thinking about something, some decisions I was trying to make, and I asked myself, what do you want? And that's because two people said it within the space of hours. I was talking to them at different times, but because I've become so tuned into picking signals that come to me, for some of you today that are going to watch this later or are watching this, some of the things that we're saying now is probably something you heard yesterday or the day before, or you're going to scroll to somebody else's page and you're going to find that same comment there, and it's probably a signal for you to stop and reflect and ask yourself certain candid questions. And so, like you said, taking stock for you was revisiting yourself and asking yourself, what's this unrest? What's going on here? Why do I feel like I feel? So that's where am I today? Then who am I? You talked about your passion, your gifts, the things that are in this suit, that even though your physical situation had changed, the who you are continues to be there because you are Oyebola the person, regardless of the fact that you had shifted location. And so it was time for a new expression of the purpose that you have had, that you continue to have. And so for me, it's interesting to hear you say that, because again, life is about simple is complex for a lot of people, but when you stop and have those candid conversations with yourself, then you know where you are and you know what the next course of action is. And so for me, I would transition that and say, when you think about what that has done for you, because we talked about in the recent month, you founded the Expert Partners Network. You've also the Vision Partners Network as well, VPNet. And so for you, when you think about how that is making you impactful to your target audience, how do you draw the line? As in, how do you connect the dots in terms of this exploration, revisiting yourself, coming back into the fullness of I am Oyebola, I am Lady Oyebola, I've got this in me, I've got the passion, I've got the purpose, and now I have a target audience. How is that helping you to be impactful?
Um, so I just want to highlight a moment in time, and I think that it's important because I just want to make a connection, right? Again, as I mentioned, I moved to a new country. What I was doing before, I couldn't do before, but I still had this purpose, this sense of purpose. I still felt this, I still have the vision. I still have to do what I'm created here to do. I still have to fulfill my purpose. And so sometimes you have to go into your core. You have to go into your core to bring out who you are beyond the titles, like you mentioned at the introduction, right? Beyond the titles, beyond the job description or whatever it is. Who are you, right? What are your abilities? What are your innate abilities? What can you do? What have you done? What are the recurring patterns and things like that? And for me, I mentioned, for me, just having that leadership um, skills, or even when I was younger, just wanting to take up leadership role just because I wanted things to get done. I wanted to do things and I wanted things to be done properly, having that excellence, like whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to do it well. Not because like someone told me it's exactly the way to do, but just knowing that it should be done this way, and also being like taking responsibility, that's what responsibility is, right? Knowing what to do and doing that. And for me, with the new initiative that I am championing right now, sometimes like, when that conflict comes, right? Or, the doubts that, can you actually do this? Is different, right? This is different. Can you do it? You don't have like the same tools or resources that you had before, right? The country that you're, whatever landscape you're operating is kind of different. I had to go back to those times when, I had to do things by myself, things that ordinarily people or adults do for them. So I give an example, like when I was getting married, I got married at a young age. And when I was getting married, if you understand the Nigerian culture, very Yoruba culture, you have like all these aunties, right, that are taking care of the ashrebi and the wedding cake and choosing color, theme, and all those kind of things for you. I did my parts myself. Even my husband's outfits, right? Like traditional wear and everything. I sorted everything out and everything was ready before the wedding. Like, it wasn't ready before the wedding. I mean, we don't have any, like, we wouldn't have good outfits to wear, right? Sort the clothes with my friends. So I went to like a few friends, sort the clothes we wanted to wear, like my own style, chose everything down to the wedding gown, right? Of course, I consulted people that had gotten married before me or that were getting married. I looked for like really nice and brighter stores in Lagos and things. And keep in mind, I wasn't even living in Lagos. Like, I was living in the north, but I schooled in the southwest. But I stayed in Lagos, stayed with my aunt, stayed with some friends, just to make sure I did all of that. So, and when I came here and I was battling the unrest of what do I do now? Where do I go from here? I had to go back there. That then, when it was strange for someone my age with no marital experience, pretty much would do that, by myself and did it well, right? So perhaps I have it in me. So if it's to research, I research. If it's to consult people, I consult people. And that's recognizing that pattern and that's using that to my advantage. That's what I had to do, right? It is painful work. But because I've gone through that now, and I recognize that some people are going through that where they're in that transition phase, and it's so hard for them, they can't move from where they are stuck. But because I've gone through that, I can recognize that, right? So what I do is that I work with them. Okay, you've done this. You don't have to do it yourself. Like for me, I just find joy and fulfillment in figuring things out myself and doing things out myself because it's inherent with me. You know what I mean? But we all have different gifts and different. There's some things I will dare not do. You know what I mean? Like
I
one thing I
know.
think I'm like, nah, that's not me. Look for someone to do it. You know what I mean? But because I'm operating in my own gifts, which is, helping people to move from where they are to where they want to go, right? Just recognizing that because of things that I've done, even back in my former location. I work as an event producer, right? And I will work with people, from the ideation of their own event vision and bring it to reality, right? So did that with multiple clients, with individuals, right? People share their dreams with me, right? Whatever dreams, some dream is like, like international location, things like that, it will happen because somehow I just like marry their dream, I, bear their vision and I make it happen. So when I came here, experienced that, that time of sadness, emotional turmoil, and things like that. So I just felt that burden that perhaps people are going through that and they need someone to share the story, which is my story, and then help them move from where they are to where they want to be. And that's why I founded Expert Partners Network. So expert partners are people who move to a new country because of their partners or spouses' career. And if you've had the experience, it's really exciting. New country, new opportunity. I always look at it as a plain canvas that you're given and you can paint whatever you want, right? Exciting opportunity, but it comes with challenges,
Yeah.
right? Just like the, feeling lost and all of that, like some of the feelings I have described. And again, and I know that everybody has dreams, right? If you ask them, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to? So at least everybody can mention one thing. So, and sometimes because we've moved here and we don't know how to bring that dream to life, then we feel stuck because again, like I said, I've identified people that are happy. People that are happy is because they are pursuing their dreams. That's why they're happy. So when they're here now, because they can't do that, they are happy, right? They're settling their families, they're making sure their families are doing well. But they themselves, somehow they put their own dreams on the back burner. They just forgot about it. Like, oh, this is different. A new place, I can't really do this. So that's my passion. Now, my passion for those expert partners is that they continue to pursue their dreams, even in their new international location. Because I believe that location should not be a barrier. Wherever we are, we should still be able to pursue our vision. But that's different. It might be expressed in a different way. And so that's what I'm doing, where I work with people or coach people just to uncover that and to get them on the track of pursuing their vision so that they can live a happier life and also make impact where they are.
No, thanks for drawing that connection, Oyebola. Thank you for drawing the connection. And in my mind, I think about as we kind of bring this home for people, because there's somebody there watching and who's saying, okay, well, I've not moved location, I've not changed you know, location basically, or my circumstances are not exactly identical, but I feel that feeling of being stuck. I feel like, okay, can I do more? And I like how you talked about all the other things that you've done. You've always done it. It came in a different expression, but it was you. Whether you were helping somebody bring their event dreams to life, or you're talking to, other capacities that you have worked as a professional, or helping your family, or helping your volunteer, that person in you that takes somebody else's dream and partners with them on the blueprint has always been you, and now you found a different expression for that person that is you. And so I don't know who that person is here. You've got it in you. The paths you've walked are unique assets. The perspectives that you offer are unique. But like I said in the beginning, God, your purpose is that thing that God wants you to do, that He has given you the seed for, and He has given you the capacity for expansion. If I talk about Oyebola's example, she's always had that seed, the passion, those perspectives, that as from a small child to an adult to a spouse to a mom, to help people just take charge, guide them like, oh, you're feeling stuck, let's go. But at the same time, she has the capacity to expand that into different spheres of influence, which right now she's taking that to help those who are working a relatable journey to expand their dreams, right? Because so that capacity of expansion is the part that sometimes people don't lean into because they're underselling the seed that they carry. Like for me, when I think about my personal journey, I've shared it so many times, is the fact that at the heart of it, I always feel the need to help people understand. And so I'll carry their matter on my head, try and understand it for me so that I can help them to understand it, even when the matter does not really concern me. And I found that that continued to show up at work, as a strategy professional and engineer of many years, with many years of at least almost 2 decades under my belt. I find that the things that excite me the most are the ability to be able to show somebody that, do you understand it? Do you get it? Like I feel like a proud mom when I sometimes see somebody walk away with that light that has come on for them because of something that I said. Now that is part of the reason I'm on this call today talking to you about, oh, let's take stock, because I found something that I feel like if you hear this, if you just get this, if you just stop, pause, breathe, and reflect about where you've been at, that you can go on and be this, fulfilled person. Not everybody is going to become this, internet celebrity or be on a call. But for some people, you need to live your best life for your family. And you're not able to do that because you're feeling stuck because of something else. And so for me, if there's anything you take away today in terms of how reacquainting you with yourself helps you to affirm your purpose, reacquainting yourself with yourself helps you to recognize those seeds that have been littered all over the path that you have walked in life. The moments that you felt a bit of joy, the moment that you felt excited because you did something that for others they're like, what's so special about this thing that you have done? But you just know that that makes you happy. Those are the seeds that you should not take for granted, because it's the seeds that He's put inside of you. Interesting thing about God is that he puts all of that and matures you for a time like this. Some of you are about to enter into a new season where you're going to be expressing certain kind of needs around you, and this capacity that you have will carry you into a new expression, because that is who you have always been. So the question is, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Please write it down. Start asking yourself those questions. You start to see how things start to unlock the relatability across the different paths that you have walked. And so, Yebola, as we start to wrap this and bring it all, is there anything else an advice you would give to somebody who is feeling unsure, who is feeling stuck, who is feeling like how you felt those couple of months ago, who just felt like there's more to me. This can't be it. This can't be everything. Like, just because life is happening in a certain dimension, which by the way is setting you up for something bigger and better, by the way, you know, How do they navigate that spot? Because sometimes some people get stuck at that point and that's it. So what's your advice?
Yeah. Yes. And I'll say you're probably right, right? If you feel there's something more to you, there is. In the last 10 years, I've done so many things, right? This purpose we're talking about has been expressed in so many ways, right? In the last 10 years, I found myself in a new country as well, right? Same thing, same emotions that I felt when I moved to a new country last year. And it was like, how do I fit in here? It seemed like everybody were just going about their lives, we were moving, and I was just trying to integrate into the society, the way of life, and things like that. Found myself there. But again, look back to my purpose. What's my purpose? My purpose, I do things in a collaborative way. So it's the same thing again, that when people around me, that they are their best self. So I bring out the best in people. I want to bring out the best in people. Why do I want to do that? Just because they feel happiness. And I want everybody to feel that, and they feel the love of God, right? I feel like I am a representative of God, that wherever I am, everybody around me should feel this love, right? And so I expressed that as a beauty consultant. So I was a beauty consultant in so many ways. I was beauty consultant with Mary Cosmetics, and a lot of my colleagues, what they did was that they just sold the product. There's nothing wrong in that. But for me, because I understood that, I have a different purpose. My purpose is to connect with people, make people to connect with who they are, make people experience joy, fulfillment, happiness. So I express mine in a different way. So I'll always host skincare parties, just so I could bring people together and celebrate them and do whatever. And really focus on their face, like who they are. Because when they're doing skincare, I get them to look at the mirror, get them to engage in things like that, like, ask questions like who I am, who am I mean, who do you see in the mirror and things like that. So I did that for so many years. I also, volunteered with girls as well, because I felt, okay, perhaps you have to start from when we're young. So, I was invested in girls, advocated for girls, to be their best self. And, I formed like clubs for girls, do the same thing with them, just make sure that, they feel confident and, they're happy and things like that. Also, I also had a banking career, So I did all these different things just again because, sometimes like moments in time, some things will illuminate maybe opportunity, whatever, and I walk right into it. To me, if you ask me, I was living my best life then, and then now the shit happened. So I would say, like go back, but you have to do the work, right? You have to do that for yourself. Go back and recognize, right? Why do I want more? It's a feeling. The moment you desire it, right? It's something that you can get for yourself, you can achieve for yourself. Just give yourself that time. Give yourself that time. And think deep into your childhood, right? You have to write it down. That's the way it works. Like you have to write it down, you have to commit to it because you're doing this for you so that you can be happy. And it's different from you, it's different from anybody, right? You don't have to compare it with somebody else, no. Go back and when I was 2 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, what have I done well? What did I do well? What have people said I did well? What are the things that people recognize in me that, that when I did or when I engaged in, made me happy and things like that. Go back, write it down, and then try to, move along into your present life. And you see the connection, you see the patterns, and then that will start something big for you. Another thing I would say is, just also give yourself time. Time, right? Give yourself time. The more you give yourself time, the more you're in this place of rest. When you're in a place of rest, then you have perspective. You can think. You're not addressing things from a place of fear, right? Because there's no clarity there, right? You want to make sure that you're clear. You're clear on your purpose, and everybody has a purpose, right? It's not just one big, elephant in the room, as Fumilola said, that people consider this to be. No, it's just something very simple. Pretty much, when you're impacted somebody. So think about that how, like, when you think about it, like, when did you feel you impacted somebody? Was it giving like a perspective on something? And for me, again, because it's been a journey, right? So I recognize all these things, like all these comments, remarks from people, or even excerpts I see like online or things like that. For me, everything just connects because I'm on that journey, right? I had to go back and ask my dad, look, I don't know if you understand the Yoruba culture well. I grew up in the north, so I'm not too familiar with it. But there's something that you call like Uriki, right? And when I was growing up, when I do some certain thing, like my dad would just say like a line or like a phrase or stuff like that. So everything started to come to me that, okay, that this thing that you say, perhaps it's something that you've seen or it is spoken against me. I mean, it is spoken about me. So what I did was this past few months, I told him, I wanted the full thing, the full expression, right? So I told him to get it for me. He did, recorded it, everything. And I was like, okay, wow, I can see the connection. Sometimes you have to do that, right? I can see the connection of why am I drawn to people? Sometimes I ask myself that, why am I drawn to people, right? Why am I drawn to, why am I excited when people share their vision with me or their dreams with me? And why do I feel the need to always want to partner with them to make this thing happen? And why have I, when you start asking the why, what you're doing is that you're trying to just like go deep into your core, into your being, into who you are. I remember an instance a few months ago, something happened in our family. And my mom said that what came to mind was that, let's call Ebola, she will know what to do. She'll know what to do. It was like a big thing. One of my brothers was going through stuff. And, she said, she'll know what you should give perspective. Because for me, when someone comes with a problem, right, I'm like, I can't panic like you're panicking. This person is panicking. Like, I'm not going to help anybody if I panic. You know what I mean? When you come with me with a problem, I'm thinking, okay, how can I make your life better? How can I move you from where you are right now to where you're supposed to be? And a lot of times, honestly, I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers. No. A lot of times, I don't even have the solution. But what I can do is that I can listen and I can connect the person with whoever is going to bring the solution. Right? Again, bringing it back to the question. So because you have a desire, you're on the right path. You just have to sit with yourself. You have to inquire. You might need to consult people, consult your parents, your friends. I'm sure that people have been saying things about you. Oh, you do this thing so well. Oh, I just like the way, I love your spirit of excellence. I like the way you put things together. I just like the way you're solution minded and things like that. Right. And sometimes you might need to even ask people, like be proactive and ask people, right? Just so that you can understand. And you just have to go through the journey of uncovering who you are and getting acquainted with yourself. It's a beautiful journey. It's one that is not going to end because taking stock is a regular, intentional, right? Intentional exercise, right? It's something we
Absolutely.
have to do maybe quarterly or yearly. Some people do it, maybe as their birthday presents themselves. Some people say they go on reflection, they quiet. Some people, it comes in the form of New Year resolution, whatever it is. But it's always good to, get that connection with yourself, and so that you're not just living life on autopilot and you're intentional about your living, about your being, and also just be connected to your source, to your creator, because it's God who brings the illumination, it's God who brings the clarity. And when it's time for you to move, and express your purpose in a different world, go on a different assignment, also you know that it's time to go and you're not stuck. I'm there.
Absolutely. No, thanks, Oyebola. But you wrapped it up. You have wrapped it up. And she touched on something that I don't want to be lost in the conversation. And just that's what we talk about in the book, in the masterclass, and a lot of my messages is that it starts with you being in the right place. Your well-being is the most important pillar. Like you can't see what's underneath a very busy water. Some of us just need to pause and revisit our physical well-being. We need to revisit our mental backpack. Those things that we've just been taking through all the hits that we've gone through in life, and we think we survived it, and where is there affecting our self-esteem? Is affecting our ability to even see? It's affecting our ability to even catch the new insights that are coming our way? And so the foundation in taking stock is how is your connection, how's your well-being physically, mentally, intellectually, spiritually, for you to pick the cues. I recently posted something recently. It's about the fact that your instructions are time sensitive and you have to be in the right state of wellness to pick it. Sometimes it's just in a small conversation, somebody, you're just walking past and somebody says something and you can feel it right in your heart and soul that this is an instruction for me because it connects with a question that you've had in your mind. But if you're not in a place where you're able to just stop, breathe, reflect, understand what's going on around you, you miss those things. And so for me, I would like to re-emphasize that. And that's one of the biggest things that changed for me. Because as soon as your perspective starts to change, you start to see the big deal in the things that you undersold about yourself. The things that you say, what is this? This is not important. Is that what they're talking about? Think about it. Some of the people that we're celebrating today, some of the skills that we're celebrating today, some of the job titles, some of the titles that we have, they never existed 10 years ago. Somebody owned their purpose. They owned who they are. They owned their identity and they brought it to you and you've accepted it. So own yourself. Like Oyebola said, you own your purpose with your full chest. She has not said it today, but she said it before that, you have to own it with your full chest. Some of us need to own our identity with our full
Unhinged.
chest.
Yes.
And as you do that, you will see things that you need to work on. So this is not a story of as soon as you find it, you know that everything is good. Sometimes you need to know where it has wawa, like Yoruba would say, where did you bend in that journey? Where did I lose that steam? Where did I lose that passion? When did I stop believing in myself? What's changed? And you need to address certain things and cut certain things out. So it is work. But I can assure you that if you do the work, you will start to see yourself in certain lights. When you now bring all of that into the new expression of where you are, you'll be surprised. It's an intentional build up. It's not something that you get into one day. I first got ideas about taking stock. I started doing reflections. I would write my ideas. I'll just be bubbling with ideas. And then I wrote the book. After I wrote the book, I realized, no, I need to teach people. And of course, I didn't realize God was giving me the insights for the next phase of the assignment. I did the master class. As we started the master class, the master class is under the umbrella of a non-profit Envoy to the Nations. And later this year, we're going to have our first Envoys conference because we need people who are owning their identity as people of faith and working in the excellence of who they are and not feeling like they are less than who they are because other people are selling a narrative that makes you feel like you're less of who you are. We are all uniquely packaged and designed to take our place in the world. And so as we wrap up, Oyebola, what do we hope to see from you? Any teasers to the world from you, and any other things around, how do they connect with you, follow you? Um, before we kind of take some last words on this.
Yeah. I purposely did not mention, owning your purpose with your full chest. But yeah, I'll just say yes. Also, I'm just taking my word and, trying to live by my own example. And I'm trying to own my purpose with my full chest every time. It's a daily intentional thing for me. And I don't want to spoil anything yet because I'm still working on something, but expect to see some of the expressions, like new expressions of this journey. Right, they're coming. Do I say, do I not say it? Because I'm like, if I say that, then that's accountability, and then everybody's looking forward to. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to give a date, even though I'm working, on the date. But yeah, just me owning my purpose with my full chest. I'm working on a book. I'm just to put this again, bring that out to people, to the world, where I encourage people to follow their just pursue their vision pretty much. That's what I'm about these days, helping people build momentum to pursue their vision and owning it with their full chest. I think a lot of times we get in trouble because we're trying to compare ourselves with the next person, right? We're different. We're created differently. So, just accepting ourselves, accepting who we are, owning it with our full chest, soaring with our full chest, and living the best life that we can possibly live. Yeah, so you can connect with me, on my Instagram page, Lady Oyebola Ogunsanwo, or you can DM me, that's fine, or you can reach out to Lola and she can, pass that along with me for my folks, the Expert Partner Network people. Yeah, you know how to connect with me. So yeah, I'm just, I'm on a mission pretty much to empower as many people as possible to pursue your vision, because my goal is to get you happy, to make you happy, to ensure that you're living your best life. And the best life to me, the way I interpret that is, being fulfilled and living happily and just be joyful, pretty much. So yeah, and
Thank
check
you.
me out on LinkedIn as well. I'm Oyebola Ogunsanwo. And just connect with me however you can. I'm more than happy to connect with
Awesome.
you.
Awesome. So before you go, people, before you go again, reminder, read the book. Take stock of who you've become on the journey to becoming. It's available on Amazon. Depending on where your location, you have the local Amazon carries the book. Buy. It's also available on my website. Details are on my website, fumilolaasa.com. You'd find details about the book there. And I do have a masterclass, like Oyebola said. I run this twice a year. It's 7 weeks of intensive conversation with self, where you come with a community of people who are also looking to transform themselves. And on the backside of that, if you put in the work, something will shift on the spectrum for you. That's what Oyebola referred to when she joined our masterclass, the first cohort. Last year, we had another one in February. The next one will be happening in October, but we've opened the wait list on my website. So if you go to my website, www.fumilolaasa.com/masterclass, you can click there to just put in your details so that we can contact you when we open up the masterclass for registration. Beyond that, the audiobook is we started working on the audiobook for the take stock of who you've become on the journey to becoming. And with that, we're going to do an official launch. So I never really launched it since I
Drum
wrote the book. So
roll.
yes, we're going to do an official launch, and this will be happening with the Envoys Conference later this year. More details will be on my handle. The conference, Envoy is on a mission. Like I said, Envoy to the Nations, that's the non-profit that I founded, and is on a mission to help people who are people of faith, Christians, own their identity, but also show that identity to the world through the fruit of excellence. And so as we work on ourselves and chip the sides and get ourselves better people, then you grow by influence because people look at you and they're like, I want to be like you. And so we have an excellent God. He created the world in an excellent way. And that's why we take power back when we stop and reconnect to the fullness of that person that he designed before the world got us distracted by everything else happening around the world. So I'm happy to connect with you on Instagram as Fumi Asa and Fumi Lola Asa. I'm kind of doing some transitions in there. Or on LinkedIn, Fumi Lola Asa, my website, fumilolaasa.com. There are tons and tons of this sort of insights and many more. It's been a joy, just talking to Oyebola. This conversation today was birthed out of a conversation I had last year with Temilola, who is also on the call here because she watched Temilola's replay and that's how we connected. So time is important. Don't be tired by the things you're doing. Keep showing up. Time has a compounding effect because impact is about making life better for somebody who's gonna shift something on their spectrum because they encountered you. That is impact. Some of you, because you heard us talk today, something shifted for you. That is impact. The more you start to measure your life on the lens of impact, you'll see that even the accomplishments will track the impact. So the world is waiting for you. Your target audience is waiting for you. Own yourself.
Yes,
Own your purpose with your full chest, but you have to know what it is first. And so you have to be in the right state of being to be able to catch it and unpack it. And once you start to walk in the fullness of it, believe me, the world is not ready yet for how much you're about to hit them with because you're now owning the fullness of the capacity that God has put inside of you. Oyebola, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm excited we had this
no
conversation.
mind. Me
For
too.
those who came through, we're happy you came through. For those who stayed throughout everything, thank you. For you that is watching it later, I'm excited you are watching it because this message is meant for you as well. Thank you, people. What are you gonna do intentionally in the next day, the next month, the next week to own your purpose and to own the impact that God has designed for you? I look forward to
Your full
hearing your
chest.
wins.
Give your
Let's own it with
full
our
chest.
full checks,
Yeah,
Oyebola. Thank you so
like
very much.
that.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you, thank you,
yeah.
thank you for everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.